So the beauty of where I live is we are a census development district. We have no city, township, nothing like that. We are not incorporated in any way, and we are split between two counties. We are extreme southern Sarasota County and extreme northern Charlotte County. They love our tax dollars, but they do not mess with us very much. So we're considered a resort town-ish. It's both a blessing and a curse. If we want or need something, we have to fight very hard for it.
I think the local government has the biggest impact on whether or not we can expand, what we can do, what we can't do. And you're nodding your head in agreement, and I appreciate that. But you just pointed out a national thing, or at least a state level thing, that is going to have an impact, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year when you're trying to expand like your local politicians and regulators will, but in 5 to 10 years. Like, this is Brad Herlock, your host of the Garage Grit podcast, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to this episode. I think we're going to have a lot of fun in this episode, and here's one of the ways that I know. Those of you who have recorded with me in the past know that before I hit the record button, we just have a quick, gentle conversation, maybe a couple laughs, a couple of things, kind of some topics and some overview. And that's not been the case with Kathleen and I, because we've been chatting for the better part, more of an hour already. And so I'm kicking myself that I haven't recorded, because we've had some great conversations already. And so I'm hoping that we're going to be able to duplicate some of those here on this episode of the Origin and Impact series. So we're going to be able to talk with Kathleen about how she's gotten into this space and the impact that she's having on it today. And hopefully we're going to share some of those crazy fun stories that we've already shared with each other. And we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so let's just jump in. Kathleen, why don't you share a little bit about your shop and where you're at, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, first, thank you so much, Brad. This has been a great start to my week. I love to laugh, right? So I am the proud owner of Xpertech Auto Repair, located in beautiful Southwest Florida, about 40 minutes south of Sarasota. I've owned it for 21 years and love it. We have 6 bays now. We started with 4. I added 2 on a couple years ago. A total of 10 employees, 7 of us work in the building. I have a couple of people off site that do marketing and some other stuff like that for me. We do, this time of year, we do, I don't know, 30 cars a week. In our season, which we're busy, the opposite of everybody else in the universe. In the wintertime, we probably crank, 20 or so out of here. I'm not a production shop. I am quality over quantity. I don't think either of those choices are wrong. I just choose to be quality over quantity. I want good work-life balance. I want happy and harmonious and all of that. But I'm also the vice chair of Women in Auto Care, a community of the Auto Care Association, and proud of that. And as a big passion for me. And I am a columnist for Ratchet and Wrench, finishing that up this year. It's a 2-year gig, and that has been very challenging. And I will say, and a former coach for Repair Shop of Tomorrow. So, which is a beautiful thing. I think everybody needs a coach. That's my soapbox. But
so we actually had an episode, a panel of people, and the question was, should shop owners get a coach? And 2 of the panelists had coaches. The third one did not. And yet it wasn't by popular opinion. All 3 agreed that you should have a coach. Now, the third one's approach was interesting. He would have a coach for about a year, and then he would take 3 years off or 2 years off, and then come back just to kind of do a check to see the progress that he made. So I applaud his frugality. I'm a big fan of being.
Yeah, I was like,
so, but at the same time, I feel it seems to me that you're constantly improving. I've never known of a professional hitter to take to put his batting coach on hold for a couple of years while he works on what he's been taught. But
precisely, yes.
So let's always be improving. Let's always be growing. And by the way, I didn't mention this at the top, but I'm going to mention it right now. If you are trying to grow your shop, if you are trying to improve your shop, if you're trying to improve it by process, if you're trying to improve yourself as a shop owner, you are in the right spot listening to this podcast, not just this episode, but all the other episodes as well. That's the goal of the Garage Grit podcast, is we're trying to help as many shops as possible with this. It's also the goal of the AA Shop Marketing, the digital marketing company that is just for repair shops, because we're just trying to help as many shops as possible, which is why on the homepage of our website right now, you can just go and say, what is my next marketing step? And then my team will actually do the research and come back to you and let you know what that one next step might be for you. Now, that's not the holy grail. You need more than that. It's just like what we're saying with coaching. It's an ongoing process, but again, we're just trying to help as many shops as possible. And so if you're in that space, in that headspace, then keep listening. We're going to have some fun today talking about this. But if you're not, then that's okay. Maybe this podcast is not right for you, right? It's not right for everybody. And that's okay. So, but that said, one of the things that kept coming up with, and you even mentioned it, you're not trying to spin out as many cars as possible. And part of me in my mind was saying, okay, but if your profit margin is X on each repair, why wouldn't you just want to do more repairs? And at some point you wanted to do more repairs because you went from 4 to 6 bays, right? And so,
yes.
And so it's about, I don't know, what made you say, I mean, are you thinking about going from 6 to 8 bays?
No, never. I will never do that again. Never.
Oh.
I will never add on. I will never construct. I don't want to be a second shop owner. I'm one of those weird unicorn people that I'm good with one. If I had it to do all over again, I'm on the fence of to whether I would add the 2 bays or not. It's a beautiful building. I love having it. But more is not always better, right? It's not bad. And it really affords us some space to move around. I have 2 really good technicians. I would call them, a strong lead master A-tech. I have a strong A- almost master certified tech. Just because his diagnostic skills are not quite as good as the other guy. Beyond that, but he is a workhorse. Like he will crank out hours and can still diagnose problems and stuff. So, they're just equal in different ways, right? And I have a general service tech and I have an apprentice currently. So my general service tech is on his way out to try and get on disability. It's a little bit of a long story, but he's gotten two new hips and he's the bionic man. And I feel like that's not the best thing for him to do for his brand new parts. It's to keep crawling around on the floor, setting lifts. And so we'll deal with that battle when he's all healed up from the new hip. But, so the KPI the key performance indicator KPI that I measure that a lot of people either don't or they don't really care about is hours per ticket. So, my goal, a lot of high production shops are 7/10 or 1 hour, right? And so I would rather instead of doing 1 hour on 20 cars for 20 hours, I would rather do 2 hours on 10 cars. So our goal for hours per hour is 2.5 right now. I used to be down in that 0.7 range. And so it takes time to lift it. How do you do it? Better inspections, estimating everything, presenting everything to the clients, and then giving them the option, right? Is this what I came in for? This is safety related. These are preventative maintenance services, and then developing a plan to execute all of that. So I want my people to go home at the end of the day, and especially on Friday afternoon, not beat and exhausted. I want them to enjoy their time with their families, right? And not need a day to recover from a hellacious week. So that's why I say that I'm more quality over production, right? Production is important. It's not like none is not good, right? But I don't say we need to work on 75 cars this week. I say we need to work on 35 cars at 2.5 hours.
Okay.
It's
2.5 hours. Are you measuring just the technicians, or are you measuring the time the service advisor presenting?
It's 2.5 build hours per car. So absolutely. Build hours per hour.
You're easily putting in 3 hours of total time. By the time the service advisor presents it, says hello.
Yeah.
Like there's time there. There's cost to you're paying that service.
Yeah, there is. But then you go into, their efficiency, and you hope that they're 120% efficient. So that 2.5 hours really only took them 175. And so you've got that little bit of gap space to cover your administrative staff. And, I have one advisor for both of my techs. So she's, you figure by the time I have a production manager that tees everything up. The advisor swings the bat. My customer service rep is the one that sets, she sets the stage. One tees it up, one takes a swing. And then it goes back to the production manager to order all the parts and make sure everything is executed correctly. So I run a little bit different of a shop than a lot of people do. But I mean, we're all within earshot of each other here. It's just a big box. So it works really well for us. I know it's unique, but we've tried to change and be a lot more like, the industry standard. I say that I see a lot of other shops that how their productivity and production line kind of work, and their shop flow, it doesn't always fit here. So it's interesting. I don't know. I should write a class or do a video on it sometime. Like, this is what our shop looks like. And it is weird and strange. I just feel like a lot of times you'll see you have an advisor, right? And the advisor is all the customer contact, right? So they're the person they see when they check in, that gathers all the data and the information. They're the person that hangs the keys. They're the person that, polishes the DVI after it's done to the technician, right? Then they make all of the estimates. Then they call the customer and present. They order the parts. So the advisor has a lot more hands in a lot of shops that I've seen. I'll tell you, a big no-no. My technicians do all the estimating, 90% of the estimating. They know if they need more time. They know which parts are getting so complicated now. Like, what size is the rotor? And it's like 3 millimeters difference between A and B. And is it slotted or not slotted? Does it have ABS or not ABS? And so we have them do that for efficiency. Again, there's really only 2 of them, and they're both very good at what they do. So they have laptops at their stations. They know what they're recommending. My production manager then takes it and looks up any PM services they may have missed, because it happens, right? Yeah. She will add all of that, correct any misspellings that are in DVIs, because technicians are not English majors, right? And we want it to look professional, and a lot of them use voice to text, which that technology is getting better, but sometimes we get some doozies in there. But yeah, so
it's about messaging your spouse with voice recognition.
And sometimes autocorrect will get you, right? Like,
autocorrect's not your friend either. Yeah, exactly.
No, it is not. It's actually your frenemy, right? It's totally trying to sabotage you all the time. I'm like, I never typed that word. Why would you correct to that? Right. But that's totally out of context. I didn't need it. Delete. So she then tees it up. My advisor can stop, focus, pay attention, have a really nice, not rushed conversation with the client, because all the other work is getting done around her. And then when she gains approval for whatever, or she adds in, unsold work for future follow-up email with customer retention management, phone calls and all of that good stuff, tees it back to the production manager and says, here's what we've got to acquire. Here's how many hours it is, blah, blah, blah. She takes it back, gathers the parts while my advisor is on the phone with the next client. And then when the car is all done,
yes,
all my advisor really does, and then when the car is done, is send a little message to our customer service rep. Please call the client, let them know their car is ready to be picked up. Right. And as we all know, look, in the industry, we know if you sell a job for 3 hours, you got approval at 10. Do not call them before 1:30. 1:30. If I have a 10 o'clock, you told me to go ahead and it's going to be a 3-hour job, and I call you at 11:30, are you going to want to pay me 3 hours? If you're being fully transparent with your customer, absolutely not. The fact that my techs my techs are all over 50. Actually, my techs are all over 55. So if anybody's young and looking for a job, and you like Florida and it's hot. But yeah, so, but yeah, so it's one of those, I totally lost my train there, but yeah, so my advisor will tee it back to her and say, call this customer at whatever time. We leave little messages with each other, and then bam, the customer comes. She'll either go get them or they come in. She cashes them out, asks them if they have any questions, discusses their recommended services that were deferred, talks about them, what they've already had done today, and then sends them on their way.
You know, it's interesting. I had a couple different thoughts there. I liked how you framed it in that the customer service or the service advisor's job is just the customer service, is just relaying the information. But because they're not rushed with 25 other tasks, they're able to take the time necessary to make that, to build that trust,
Yes.
build that relationship. You know, the number of times I've heard shop owners say, I'm not in the repair business, I'm in the trust business. We just chose cars as our method of communicating trust. And it's pretty important, especially with the American lifestyle, even in spite of Ubers and ride shares and whatnot. You know, I mean, I've heard shop owners say, I'm going to get on a tangent real quick. I've heard a couple shop owners think that we're going to eventually move to an environment where nobody owns cars. One company is going to own all the cars, and you just go onto your phone and order a car, and it shows up at your house, picks you up, and takes you somewhere. And if you live in a rural enough environment, then no. But there's something within the American spirit. My family has been here for like 300 plus years, still with the American spirit. I want the freedom right now. I might put down my headphones and go for a drive. Like I might go, right? You don't know that option. I can. I have the car. It's right. Jeep is right there. I don't even have to. Well, the newer Jeeps, you kind of have to mind the road, but I didn't necessarily have to mind the road. I could go wherever I wanted to. I could drive all across the grass or the field.
Yeah,
it didn't matter. And I like that freedom. I like that liberty. And so, I don't think I'm going to be jumping into the rideshare program. But then again, I'm over 50. I like your mechanics. I don't know. So I mean, it's we're still, and just for the record, you know, those people who are doubting those other over 50-year-olds. Recently, my son was sitting on my shoulders while I was doing push-ups. So you know, we're not dead yet. So we're still.
Listen, we're Gen Xers, man. You can't kill us, right? We're like Twinkies and cockroaches. That's it. That's it. The apocalypse, it's going to be us. That's it. We've been taking care of ourselves and being tough since we were like 4 years old. So,
well, I'm a key kid, but yes, there's a lot.
Right.
Of it, right?
But generationally, right? Yeah. No, I don't think that I disagree with that statement that we will eventually get there, but we're like today plus 50 years, right? Like there's just no way. Like you said, Americans love to drive, right? Think of, although, number one, have you been in a Waymo? Have you ridden in one of these driverless Uber vehicles? Okay, so I was at Auto Care Connect in Phoenix in May, and I just had to, right? You know, we're all car nerds, so we all got to get in a Waymo because they have them there, and they're Jaguar SUVs. They're not as smart. The technology is super cool, but they're not as smart as you'd like them to be. Where you drop the pin is exactly where that car goes. So if you're sitting in like the hotel receiving little area and you accidentally drop the pin over here, it's going over there, and that's where it's going to wait for you. And so it's neat. Then we only went 1 mile. We went to a museum. It was the last day. And it decided, no traffic, thankfully, that it was in this lane and it needed to be in the next lane over. Well, it just moved over. It was like, and I was like, well, it's not a good driver either, is it? And so, the technology is getting there. So I live in a predominantly retired community, right? I mean, we have younger people coming into the area, but we have a lot of snowbirds. We have a lot of retired people. It is not uncommon for one of my clients to be well into their 80s, 90s. I have a lady that was in here 2 weeks ago. She's 102 and still driving, right? They're youthful. people, some of them shouldn't be driving, but not all of them. You'd be surprised. But so I think in an environment like this, we do have some that really probably shouldn't be driving, right? So in an area where you have, communities where, like New York City, like you don't need to own a car. It's great to have taxis and, driverless vehicles. Totally makes sense, right? It's like our new version of public transportation. But yeah, well, I mean, but here we have a lot of people that need to go to the grocery store and they need to go to the doctor, right? So I think that driverless things are going to be an addition, but I can't see a completely driverless fleet in my lifetime or the lifetime of my children. Maybe the one after, but definitely not. Like we don't have the infrastructure for that. We don't have, so for any of us as an owner today to be talking about that, I think, it's pipe dreaming. Like, look, we're just getting into like mainstream AI right now. Come on. There's no way. There's no way we're going to adapt. It does. But I still want to go back and buy my 68 Camaro from the guy I sold it to and just drive it. And it's oh my gosh, it's not even that great, right? It's a one-wheel wonder. It doesn't have air conditioning, 4 on the floor. I mean, it smells so good and it sounds good. And I want to be able to drive that beast, right? You're never going to get that experience.
I just said 4 on the floor just earlier today. But I use the expression completely different. I was talking to my dog to not jump up on somebody. So yeah, so they're very different. But yeah, no, I think there is going to be a pendulum swing too. I think there's going to be some of the okay, hold on. So I'm gonna people who've listened to this podcast know that I've got a son who's about 10 right now, in 2025, and 10 years old. I was not walking around and saying, I'm Gen X, like all proud. He walks around saying, I'm Gen Alpha. We are blah, 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 blah. And I think with that bad, that bad boy type, attitude, I almost swore instead of bad boy. I said it's a different word. I think you're going to want the muscle car back. I think you're going to want some of, so it would not surprise me if he actually asks for, like, for something like that for like when he's a late teen, and at which point I'll say, hey, did you know that this company's hiring and that company's hiring? And so
it's called get a job, right? Let me play you a song from the 80s. I mean, but think about that, right? Like the fact that there's a song from the 80s, you got to have a job if you want to be with me. I want to say it's like Mary J. Blige or something like that. I'll find it.
I do recall that song. And the one I was thinking of was about the Big Brother Bob, get a haircut and get a real job.
Yes. Also very good.
Sorry.
I love it.
Yes. So, but he actually, even at 10, he's like, why can't I work in Pennsylvania? You're not allowed, you have to be 14. I have to wait 4 years, he says. Yes, you have to wait. So he's actually ready to get a job. So,
can he cut the grass? Can he take the trash out? Like what? Can you sub him out in this marketing company? Like, come on. I feel like we could practice, right?
Have any idea?
It's not child labor if he's an intern, right? Can he be an intern?
Yeah, so maybe. I don't live in a neighborhood, so it's not like he can just set up like a let me take out your trash cans for everybody type thing.
Got it. I got it. Well, I mean, you're funding his frivolous lifestyle right now, so you could like make him work for it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You might be one of those parents, so what could we farm out to him?
I'm gonna think on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think right now it's subbing out the household chores, like taking out the trash.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Take the trash out. Can he mow the grass? Can he? Let's see.
Hill and
no. Yeah.
And
nope.
His friends. So we're thinking.
Yeah.
But back to the auto, I think that freedom thing is a thing, and I think it's going to be a pendulum switch.
Yes.
So I do think that there's going to be some pushback on this auto driving. I do think in urban areas it'll be considerably more prevalent. And so, does that mean that you are considering where your next shop location is if you do want to be a second shop owner?
Right.
And are you going to be more focused on fleets versus the individual? I don't know. But you said you had trouble going from 4 to 6. You kind of implied that was a
The build process was an absolute nightmare. And it never comes in at budget, and everything gets more expensive. And it was during COVID that we were doing all this. And it was just, have you ever built a house? It's just as horrible. And all we did was build 1,000 square foot square. Right.
But I'm just thinking about where you're at. You're in that retirement area. And
yeah, Hurricane Central too. So.
Okay. All right.
I say that with a joke, but we are where the second hurricane in 2 weeks last year made landfall. Okay. And the first one totally annihilated us, even though it hit so Florida, I don't know which way this is going to come. We live about here. First one.
Turn it the other way. There you go. Yep.
Yeah, so we live. Yeah, I live here. Yeah. The first one hit here. Yeah. But all the storm surge hit us down here. Sure did. So 2 weeks later, Milton came through and just pounded us again. So
building damage during that?
No.
Okay.
Thank goodness, because there wasn't a lot of rain. That was a storm surge. I'm about a mile from the water as the crow flies, but enough that there are homes 4 blocks from me that have been here since the 50s that are just, you can see right through them. Concrete block, poured concrete block is gone. That water came in hard and fast. But we were spared. Nope. I'm just far enough away. I got very, very, as I knock on whatever's wood.
You have to pay attention to whether or not the government is actually increasing.
Yeah, I'm not looking. They're not going to say it. I have heard that. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's well, I'll tell you, you know what? It's hotter. All I can tell you is it's hotter. This is the hottest summer we've ever had and the coolest one we'll experience for the next 20 years. And the water's getting hotter, right? What feeds a hurricane? Hot water. How do you fix it? I don't know. That's not my job. I fix checkbooks and cars.
Has that data been?
What did we talk about? Vote. Go out and vote for people that are way smarter than I am.
Well, you would hope, but yeah. And the reference that Kathleen just made was for the October 2025 panel, where we're going to be talking or have been talking about politics. So if you haven't heard, if you're listening to this episode before that panel comes out, wait for it. It's coming soon. It's already past October 2025, you need to go back and listen to that panel. It's going to be very, very worth your time. We're going to be talking about politics. We're going to be talking about, and we didn't even ask this question, but I'm about to. What was it take from a government standpoint for you to expand from 4 to 6 bays? And that's what we're going to be talking about in the panel, is make sure you know who your local politicians are so that you can actually do what you need to do with your shop without having to worry about excessive regulation or the wrong regulation. Maybe just keep the right regulation. That's for you to decide on what you want in your area, and vote. And obviously you're voting in your local, where you live, as opposed to where you work, which might be different. It might be the same, adding to the challenge. But my question to you, Kathleen, was there any kind of issues? You've told me before we started recording that you're right across from a school. You're in a mostly retirement age area. The zoning, they probably would not allow a new repair shop down the street, or would they? Question number 1.
So in certain parts of this community, like I'm 4 blocks off of our main street. And so no auto repair is allowed on that street anymore. There used to be a shop there. It finally closed. It can never reopen. The building was in such disrepair that they finally tore it down. There was a gas station over there, not allowed anymore. So no, they're starting to phase that out.
You're not allowed to have gas stations on the main street in the town?
Yeah, it's like an old school Main Street USA. It's just a little tiny section of road. So we have a gas station right around the corner, but no more gas stations on the main street. So, and it's about 8 blocks long. So it's not like this gigantic, but yeah, so, I mean, so the beauty of where I live is we are a census development district. We have no city, township, nothing like that. We are not incorporated in any way. And we are split between 2 counties. We are extreme southern Sarasota County and extreme northern Charlotte County. They love our tax dollars, but they do not mess with us very much. So we're considered a resort town-ish. it's both a blessing and a curse. If we want or need something, we have to fight very hard for it. Our local county commissioner in our district actually is an Inglewood resident. So for the past few years, we have benefited from that, but we share the district with another town over who is very incorporated, very together. They have a city government. So it's tough. And I know we talked a little bit about community engagement. This is my last year of 7 on our Chamber Board of Directors, Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. We have 4 Rotary clubs in town. And between those 5 entities, they pretty much run the roost here. They're the ones that give the feedback to the counties. They stay in contact with all of the people, especially the Chamber of Commerce. And our executive director really goes to all the county commission meetings and stays really in touch on the political side of things. You know, the Florida Department of Transportation wanted to come and our main through road. And they wanted to put a concrete, we have suicide lanes right now, which I don't love, right? Because again, we got a lot of old people that they look through the steering wheel hole, right? And so we have a lot of those people, and they got to get in the suicide lane like a mile and a half before they're going to turn. And it's dangerous, right? But they wanted to put a median all the way down. And the business economic impact of that is gigantic. It didn't affect me, but it does affect a lot of other people. So he fought long and hard on that and won that battle for us. So they had to put more brakes in it if that's what they're going to do. But so I'm in a unique situation where when we did the build, I didn't have a ton of pushback or regulation issues or anything like that. A little bit on the zoning as far as like lot lines and setbacks and stuff like that. But they created this thing called a radio reliability test. That is the one item that kept me from my CO for 45 days. I think it took me. My general contractor was having a heck of a time, so I finally got involved and I called our local fire chief because we have our own fire department, but it wasn't him, it was the county fire department. So I had to get a hold of the fire inspector there to figure out what a radio reliability test was. And then she can't recommend any companies because they're not allowed to do that. And so basically it's to make sure that from inside the building, fire, police, all of their radios work and they can be heard and communicate outside. So for a big, gigantic new building that's concrete block and metal, it makes complete sense because you want the firefighters inside and the firefighters outside be able to talk to each other. But I have a 1,000 square foot building with 4 16-foot bay doors on them and 1 egress man door. But the bay doors don't count as exits. So I had to find a company. And so I called my chamber. I was like, Doug, you got to help me out here, bro. Like, I am struggling. We can't find anybody to do this. This is all I need. I just need to do business. I'm bleeding to death here, right? Right. The company I found finally came in. The kid showed up and he goes, am I in the right place? And I was like, yeah, you are. You are. And he goes, this is the dumbest project that I've ever had to do since I've been doing these tests. And I was like, you think? And he's like, it cost me like $800. And it took him about 27 minutes. But he had to map out the floor, all 1,000 square feet, and give a megahertz or whatever reading to what was going on inside and outside. And so he's like, just know that they're working on making it so that we don't have to do it on small buildings like this. He's like, they passed a law and didn't really think about what was going on. I mean, it totally makes sense. And I was like, or they just decided they were going to say you have to have this radio reliability test and there's everybody, right? It's so stupid and a waste of resources. Yes, here we go.
A minute ago, you said that you want to vote for people who are smarter than you. You made or something. So right now there's a discussion.
Brad, don't burst my bubble.
Yeah. So they don't know what they don't know, of course, right? So I mean, it's
you're right.
And so there's a law in Pennsylvania for you have to drive 4 feet around. If a cyclist is on the road, you have to be 4 feet beyond where they are to pass them. Now, on the road that I live on, the brush is pretty much right up against the road on either side.
Yeah.
And so the biker is not going to be, the cyclist is not going to be in that first foot, because otherwise they're getting their arm ripped off. So they're going to take up about 3 to 4 feet off the road. All right. So if they take up 4 feet, you add 4 feet. Now you're at 8 feet. Now, if you have a smaller SUV, then you're only 7 feet wide. But what I'm saying is you're going to get hit by the brush on the other side of the road, because my road's only 15 feet. So, like, yeah, it's a smaller road. I get that. But I mean, what I'm saying is they didn't make enough. I don't know that they made enough carve outs for or awareness when they make some of these rules. They have these, oh, look at this. This is that's a problem. Let's go fix this problem. But they don't do a good, with each rule. There's a million different reasons why it doesn't actually fit for everybody.
Right.
And so there needs to be, I'm convinced that they necessarily have higher IQs than shop owners for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's not the case. I think we need to bring more common sense back. I think that's the trend that we need to push for. But
right. I have a sticker up on my wall here that says there's no vaccine for stupid. And talking about that little piece of it, right? Like, I'm heavily involved in a supporter of the Repair Act, for us to have access to the information, right? From the manufacturers, guaranteed legal access, right? We have an MOU right now, memorandum of understanding, but they can just say, yeah, I don't want to play anymore, and I'm taking my ball and going home. I am starting to see places where we cannot access data, which I've been a part of this before, but now I'm starting to see real world application that is concerning. And not necessarily, I don't want to call any one manufacturer out, but we can no longer program one manufacturer from 2000 forward, any computers on a J tool, because they've decided you have to have their proprietary tool and software. And I don't do enough of them to care. So I'm not going to invest in that. And what about shops that are... Right. What about the shops that are smaller than me? Oh, no, it is. It absolutely is.
And so now you're going to have...
Am I going to have like 15 scan tools? Yeah, come on. And then subscriptions for all of them. You know, I mean, and I don't want the data for free. I just want equal access, right? Just equal access. So, but yeah.
And so what have you done to...
So 2 years ago, I went up for the Auto Care Association's Fall Leadership Days and Legislative Summit, which coincidentally is coming up next week. Again, they do it every 2 years, and they
being recorded in early September 2025.
Yes. Yes. So we're going to go take a trip up to Capitol Hill, and this is what we did the last time. I am probably one of the, well, at least Shirley was, one of the least politically informed people you will ever meet. I do not turn a television on, and I choose not to read the newspaper. You know, we talked about newspaper. We still have one of those here, right? Yeah.
Back to the retirement community. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah. They like the paper.
Maybe my
and
son
so,
can come down there and
I mean,
paperboy, because that's the job that he's looking to be.
Perfect. Yes. But yeah, so like, I don't consume news in any way. I can't. I, as you see, my theme in life is joy and sparkle, right? And how do I stay that way? I live in a bubble. That's exactly how I do it. I do try to stay up on kind of current events and what's going on, but I probably iceberg it, right? I don't want all that drama in my life. And so I have people that love to consume news in my life, and they will tell me anything I need to know. Okay. And so, like, you know, and so again, I know that that's kind of a blissfully ignorant thing.
Blood pressure medication. Go ahead. Thank you.
All of them, everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And you know what I'm not on? Blood pressure medication. And you know what I do? Spread joy and happiness. And I smile all the time. There's probably not a connection. Right. But, so anyway, I go up there and I thought, okay, this is very intimidating. But I want to try to be a part of this. And we all walk over to Capitol Hill, and it was super cool. And they taught us what we were going to say and talk about the Repair Act. And, you know, it's completely bipartisan, right? So it didn't matter what side of the fence you were on. They did a great job last time, and I'm sure they will this time. of pairing us up with 5 or 6 people. We all got to visit people in our districts within the group and just talk to them about the Repair Act. And I learned that politics could be really cool. For about 8 minutes, I thought maybe I could run for, a political position. And then I realized that it would destroy my soul and I couldn't. And again, you can't just run around and call people idiots. You're not allowed to do that, right? You can't Gordon Ramsay it. And that's what I feel like I would end up doing. And so, but anyway, so we were there and we had done our visits and what have you. And then they asked me, because the bill was going up for review at the Energy and Commerce Subcommittee the following week. And so they wanted a shop owner from Florida if they could find one. So why not add another layer to that onion and make it a female shop owner from Florida?
Right.
And so I gained the opportunity. I did ask if they were sure, because I could be a gigantic social liability for people. Things come out of my mouth sometimes that shouldn't. But you'll always know where you stand with me.
It's a very popular thing right now. Authenticity and just transparency is a popular thing, even in politics. And so,
yes, and I am authentic and transparent, but I'm kind, right? Like I'm not going to be mean to you, but I can't. One year, I digress, but one year, my oldest daughter, who's 24 now, when she was probably 5 or 6, Halloween is a big thing here. Like they shut our main street down and all these people and the kids, it's called this Halloween Safe Walk, right? And they all get candy. And she's like, Mom, I want to be Snow White. She's very girly, very princessy. Not sure how I got that kid. And so she said, and I think that you should be the evil queen. So I love the evil queen. I feel like in my soul, she's my spirit animal, but I cannot stay in character because I'm there and you got to I can't do it for more than 4 or 5 seconds in a row. So bad costume choice. But anyway, so I testified and it was awesome. We did not make the vote last Congress. So we start all over again and we go on the Hill again next week. And if there was ever an opportunity to testify in front of Congress again, if they needed me, I would without hesitation do it again. I think that protecting the legacy of not only my business, if we can't get data, I have no shop anymore. My shop is worth nothing except for the real estate value it's standing on, right? Like my legacy evaporates if I have no access to data. Yeah. I don't care where people go and the OEs are scaring people and I just want repair and maintenance data. I don't care where you went. I don't care how much you weigh unless it counts that I'm fixing your airbag or whatever. I don't want all that. I just want to fix your car.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about how I believe there are some states that have passed some version of the right to repair.
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe California, New York, and Colorado.
Maybe those 3 as well. But I know Massachusetts has been the best one. We'll never get that federally. I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. I hope we get something like that federally. But
if I have a shop in Massachusetts, what's stopping me from sharing my access to data with my...
So they passed a law. Well, they passed the law, but they haven't really figured out how they're going to do that yet.
This is back.
And the OEs are still fighting.
Back to the cycle. I haven't thought
absolutely
different things.
Correct.
All right,
correct. The OEs are still fighting it, right? Like they're like, and they have a lot more money than we do. They do. Right? Think about it. They have a lot more money than we do.
Yeah.
And so many shop owners are uninformed, right? Look up the Repair Act. Look at what you're doing. There are other trade associations out there that are actually in direct opposition to the Repair Act. And I encourage shop owners to really take a look at that and who you're giving your money to. Because they're sending people to Washington to fight against codifying this. And if you believe that you should, again, this is where we vote, right? Talk to your local people. I brought this up because something that you said was rang to me is our local politics. And I know this is a future episode for you, but how do you make an impact in your area? And this goes to technician shortage. And I mean, it addresses a lot of information. We talk a lot about invite your local politicians to your shop. Let them see what you do all day because they are clueless. 90% of them have no idea what you do all day long, how you serve your community, how many people you employ, and the lives that you impact. We are independence, freedom, trust, all of those things for our communities and so many of their voters, right? It's just a car repair shop. It's not, right? We really are a gigantic portion of our local communities. I give thousands and thousands of dollars a year back to my local community. Schools. Anybody in a school in this area comes in and asks me for money? Yep. How much you need?
Okay.
Right? Like, it's what we do. We support our local kids.
Starting a school. I need $10,000.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can give you 10, but yeah. But no, I mean, like, look, I just volunteered for a football game. My kid went to the school. I never volunteered.
So, I'm glad that you volunteered. We need more volunteers like you. I got voluntooled. I didn't know that was a word till the other day. Voluntooled, it means supposedly that you get put into a volunteer position.
Yeah, I have heard voluntold, but I feel like you got put in there. Therefore, you might be voluntooled.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. Right. That too. Yeah. So it's
just depends.
I ended up being a parking attendant for my son's tackle football league, and I was just like, yeah. And actually, it turned out it wasn't as terrible as I was expecting it to be. I didn't actually have to miss any of his game, which was nice. But I was about to be frustrated if I was working when I wanted to be watching
Absolutely
first ever tackle football game. So, anyway,
man, do you check that box? You got it out of the way. First game of the season. Done. You will
me on like 4 other games. They got me on 4.
man.
For the games, I'm moving the chains, and one game I'm supposed to be like our family's supposed to handle bathroom. Just yeah,
That sounds worth. That's a little too far. Can you sub that out? It might be worth a couple $100. Just
huh.
Can I hire a company in my place?
Is that possible? So anyway, so so all right, back to the government stuff. Back to I think the local government has the biggest impact on whether or not we can expand, what we can do, what we can't do. And you're nodding your head in agreement, and I appreciate that. But you just pointed out a national thing, or at least a state level thing, that is going to have an impact. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year when you're trying to expand like your local politicians and regulators will, but in 5 to 10 years, like, what's going to happen? Are the OEs going to lock that down before that law gets passed? And what does that look like?
Right.
And so,
I mean, they want to monetize it, right? Brad, they want to monetize it and they want to make money. I totally get that. I am not a profit adverse, right? Like, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
But locking us out is the problem that I have.
Right.
And that is what's happening.
And yeah, and again, if they all are doing their own thing and they all have their own standards, then it makes it very, very difficult for a shop like yours to have 10 different subscriptions or 15 different subscriptions. It almost makes you have to do, all right, so we are a Ford only shop, or we are a, I mean, you have shops like that for European cars, but maybe it gets more specific than that. Maybe it's not just BMW shops. Maybe it's not.
Well, but the Europeans, there's multiple there. You've got Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Volkswagen, Audi. You've got, I mean, there's 4 or 5 in there as well.
Yeah, no, but
right. So think that's 5 scan tools and
right. But I've worked with shops that they actually sub those out. They only work on BMWs, or they only work on Mercedes. Like, that's their focus. And so, is that the model for going forward? And is it really the model that we want? I don't know. My gut says no.
And is it sustainable in all areas? I only do Asian and domestic. Right? You have to go to Sarasota. You have to what if you lived in the middle of Iowa?
Yeah.
And you drive a Subaru, right? Like, Subaru, middle of Iowa, and their closest Subaru dealer is in Indiana, right? Like, it's tough. Like, like farm equipment, John Deere, people are going through that. It's the same kind of thing. They're fighting their own battle, but it's not indifferent. iPhone, right? It's all this proprietary stuff. Like, again, I get it, but you got to give us Tesla is one of the ones that really don't play well in the sandbox. They say they do, and then you can't, but you can't really buy parts for them. And I hear that's getting better. I don't work on EVs. I have some friends that do EV work, but again, you see how we're specializing, right? EV work, I'm out. Euro, I'm out. I will do any Asian and domestic non-diesel. But, but with regulation though, I will tell you, the expansion of the building, I had bought 2 lifts, 2 12,000-pound car lifts with a 2-foot extension. I had concrete pads outside. I had a lift that was in there the day I bought the shop. I'd taken it down because years of being out in the sun and the rain in Florida had taken its toll on it. It had rusted. We probably didn't take very good care of it, in full transparency. And so I just wanted to put 2 lifts in, called the company that I always use to replace all my lifts. And she said, oh, it's outside. I have to have a permit. And I was like, no problem. Give me a few minutes, Tina. I'll call you back. Called my local general contractor friend and I said, hey, I need you to go get me a permit for this. And he was like, absolutely no problem. I will go take care of that for you tomorrow. The next day he calls me and he goes, we have a problem. They say no more outdoor lifts in Sarasota County. And I was like, excuse me? I could go to 15 shops that have outdoor lifts and suddenly I can't have them. Like, what the heck? Anyway, long story, we go through. I end up building a building because all I wanted to do was add 2 more lifts that I could use for overflow. Had I pushed back a little bit, probably could have got those lifts.
Really, what I'm thinking is, I'm sorry. I just got a text message from my parents, and my parents are a little bit older than me. Shocking. And so so I do need to kind of pay attention because there's some of the people that may or may not be the ones to. There are days when they are both
okay. Do tell, please.
It's because I can't see. Here I am in my 50s, and I can't see the speedometer on my dash without reading glasses. They think they're driving really fast, right? But they don't know because they don't have reading glasses on, and so that's just a theory. I don't know. So, but
it's not a bad theory though. I'm not gonna. I have one of my techs. One of the arms on my glasses got a little wonky this weekend, and I was like, "Hey, can you fix this for me? Because as soon as I do this, I can no longer see to fix it, right? Like so." And I'm one of those people that only has 1 pair of glasses. I'm gonna remedy that though. But yeah, but you're right. Like I am incapacitated at that point. Like I could still see enough, but don't ask me to read anything. At one point, they're spring loaded. It's was a big project this morning. And he's like, here, take the screwdriver while I hold this and tighten this screw. And I'm like, I grabbed the screwdriver like an idiot, right? And I go like this and I go, am I close? I was not even near the screw. And he was like, you are useless. Go away. Right. And I was like, you have my glasses in your hand. Like, how am I going to help you? Oh my gosh. It's so fun.
Yeah. When I was battling
so fun.
the adaptation to the reading glasses, I was thinking about like taping myself. And or like I should have just got one of those selfie sticks for the purposes of reading text messages. And so that was so that's my theory that's what's going on is that they think that they're going 80 miles an hour, but they don't really realize they're doing 20.
But it's really a 3.
Right.
I see. Yeah. It's really a 3 and not an 8. I see. I like, that's, I do not have any data to dispute your theory yet. So it seems plausible.
Yeah. Well, but I'm also thinking about your outdoor lifts. And I have 2 different thoughts simultaneously when you're talking about it. The one is you're in Florida. That sounds hot, and that just sounds mean to your workers. Air conditioning in your building or not, but I am thinking that the RF testing would have passed with the outdoor lifts.
For sure, right? It is so silly, right? So we are about a mile as the crow flies from the water. And so we get a really nice, breeze, nice cross breeze through. Last summer, we temped it out and it was 115 degrees in the bays, 10 days in a row. And I closed at 3:00. I mean, it's like, Arizona has the same problem. I've got some friends out there. What do you do? They use swamp coolers, but that doesn't help us because it's what I say earlier is 91% humidity. Because it rained at 4 o'clock this morning and it's not enough to cool it off, just enough to make it hotter. And so the summer is rough here, but when I built the new building and the year before, we had a weird windstorm. It was not a hurricane. It was just some weird windstorm. And it peeled. My building is from the mid 70s. And so it peeled back 40% of the roof. So I had to replace the entire roof. And when I did that, I said, now is the time if I'm going to air condition this building. And we took a team vote. Look, I am all about team and collaboration, right? We talk about people not doing things that you ask them to do. Well, if you processes, I think that was a conversation we had before we started recording. But how do I get my team to follow processes that somebody else writes? Again, I'm transparent. I am the ringleader of the show, but I am not the executor. But how do you do that? You involve your team.
Yes.
Right. And so my team is all, that's right. I don't buy anything without talking to them first.
Okay.
We got into the ADOS space. And before I did it, I asked, we talked a lot. I wish I did more of it, from the investment, but I'm here, I'm waiting for it. But I don't do stuff without talking to them first. And I said, hey, this is the opportunity. I'm willing to invest what it's going to cost while we do the roof to add AC to this building. And they all said no, because they didn't want to have to deal with the opening and closing of the doors and the tubes and the exhaust system and all of the extra things that roll into that most northern shops don't think about because your shop already has it, right? Because when it's winter and you're heated, you already have the exhaust. You already have all the stuff and we don't have any of that. We open the bay doors and we get this great breeze through here 90% of the time.
Okay.
So we have big fans, and when it's too hot, I have thermometers around the shop in various locations, and my production manager watches the temperature.
Okay.
And we have a heat policy that when it gets to be 90, I think it's 90 degrees in the bays, she is in charge of making sure that they stop at least once an hour to hydrate. I keep, electrolyte packets here for them. I have a great water cooler that has ice in it, and it's a continuous machine, so no bottles or anything like that. But hydration is important.
You considered like an IV setup, like just
I thought about that, but they say it's going to get caught on the cars and stuff. So yeah, no, they'd have like coffee in one side and electrolytes in the other. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so you're aware of the situation. You're practically taking care of the employees. You like to get them involved and in different decisions. Until
I start to, when I was a baby shop owner, right? So my backstory a little bit is my former husband and I bought the shop in 2003.
Okay.
Relocated from the East Coast to here. And then in 2009, when we divorced, I bought him. He is the East Coast of Florida to the West Coast of Florida.
Got it.
We're Fort Lauderdale people, right? And so in 2009, we divorced, and I purchased his portion of the business from him, and he went to go work at the local Chevy dealer. He works here again, but he's been here now 7 or 8 years, I think 8 years, as an employee. I mean, he was gone for 8, and he's so talented.
He works as one of your A technicians.
He's my lead technician. Yeah. He's my diagnostician, A-tech, electrical weirdo guru.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's super talented.
There's a sitcom that can be.
There is. Oh, I'm sure there is. Absolutely. We mess with people all the time. All the time. I mean, look, we've been divorced longer than we were married at this point.
Okay.
He has been married to his current wife longer than we were married to each other.
Okay.
And we were married for 12 years. So we got married young. But we have 2 great kids together.
Yeah.
So they both work here now, which is surreal because I never thought that would happen.
Okay.
But yeah, so no, we are very good work and professional partners, but we were not really ever good as a couple.
Okay.
We were not good for each other.
Okay. So
that's a whole nother podcast. Bomb drop.
Okay, hold on. He's been there for 8 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so let's go back 10 or 15 years, and you're a newer shop owner. You're still trying to figure out how to manage employees. Maybe you're still trying to wrestle that piece of it. What are some of the experiences that you can recall that got you to the mindset of buy-in today and collaboration today? And you even talked about how your shop runs differently than other shops. So obviously all of that played in. I want to talk about some of those experiences from 2009 to 2000.
Yeah. And so I'll start with, I realized very quickly that I could not be successful without really good technicians, because I do not fix cars. I don't know. I've learned a lot since my Irish temper and stuff got me in a little bit of trouble and made me a shop owner in 2009. I was like, I don't need you to be here. I got this. I did all the books and the payroll. I thought I was a badass. I didn't know anything. And so my parts distributor came in. I don't know if I can name any names, but I bleed their colors. Came in and said, hey, we'd really like to help you because we believe in you. Let us send you to classes. Let us do blah, blah, blah. And they really, really hard leaned in and invested in me when I didn't know what I was doing. And I had that 3-day buyer's remorse, like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm going to fail. So I have always believed that without really good staff, I am never going to be successful, right? Because I'm good at a lot of things, but not the actual income producing portion of this business. And I'm a really good motivator, right? So fast forward a few years, we had a little bit of a struggle. And as we all know, and many people have felt the pain, I hired a coach. And when I hired a coach, I had one particular technician who we battled anyway. I've grown a lot over the years. I grew up with 3 older brothers, so much older, 14, 11, and 9 when I was born. So I've never, ever, I was taught very young that when somebody comes at you, you do not back down. So this guy and I would battle, right? Battle. And so I always say that I was raised in preparation of being in this industry. I have to fight a lot less today than I did as a woman in this industry. I have to fight a whole lot less today than I did 15 years ago, or 20 years ago even. But yeah, so this one tech that worked for me didn't like that I had hired a coach and that I was starting to pay attention, because he was goofing off. His productivity and efficiency, I never measured any of that. I just thought, hey, if we sold $10,000 worth of work this week, we're in good shape. I flew blind like most shop owners do, right? And I in the summertime when we were slow, I didn't get paychecks because I'm the last person that gets paid and fed, right? And so I hired a coach, and I ran the entire front of the house. I was the CSR, the service advisor, the bookkeeper, the marketer, and all of that front of the house stuff. And I quickly realized that the bottleneck and problem in my shop was me, which is hard. Yes, that I had to get out of my own way. No, the coach did. You're right. The coach did. Yes, because he tricked me. And he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to hire a part-time customer service rep to help you 2-3 hours a day, just in the morning, so you can get the shop going. And it was, I think she worked here. I hired one of the moms at the school, right? She could work full time. She was nice. She could answer a phone, chitty chat with people here. She was here 3 weeks, and I was like, well, I need somebody full time. This is good, because look at what I'm able to do, the momentum and the progress, right? If I'm not busy and distracted doing this, I can actually work on my business. And so, yeah, that's what happened. And then this guy realized, I think that in hindsight, I think he realized that I was going to start catching him goofing off. And rather than just start to work, he decided to he said, you hired this company and you're going to ruin your business. And I refused to talk about it that day. I said, I appreciate that you feel that way, but this is what I'm doing. That night, he rolled his toolbox out at 9:30 at night. He was a key holder. and said, I'm out. He left a Toyota Avalon timing belt job half done. Said he left enough tools to finish this job, but he was out. So remember that fire that I talked about a few minutes ago? I was like, oh, nobody holds me hostage. And I called a mobile technician that I've known for 30 years now. I called him and I said, hey, man, this is what's going on. And the two of them did not get along. So that was an added bonus, that there was a little bit of friction there. I said, hey, man, this is what's going on. How much would it cost me to hire you for a week? I need these 3 jobs done. The rest I'll take care of. And he said, I can be there by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. This is what it's going to cost you for the week. Yes, I can knock those jobs out for you. I'll see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So this guy came walking in, the tech, at 8 o'clock the next morning or 5 of, with his son, who was my general service tech and did all my oil changes. I already had my advisor rescheduling all the appointments. I had another technician out on a back injury and a parts changing guy. He did no diagnostic skills. We said, this car needs a water pump. He changed the water pump. This car needs spark plugs. He changed the spark plugs. Right? Great, great guy. Really good at it. You give him a job, he could execute just about anything. And so we were already working, and he's like, well, I came, big attitude. You know how that guy walked in the door. And I said, oh, I've taken the liberty of packing up the tools that you left. I don't need you. You can tell your story walking. You made your choice last night. What are you going to do? And I said, well, I already called this other gentleman. I already called Kevin in. He'll be here at 10 o'clock this morning to finish this job, which is a gigantic ask, right?
Yeah.
Can you finish a timing belt job that someone else started?
Yeah.
I was like, oof, that's a big ask. And he's like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Sure.
And so then the guy's son starts packing his toolbox up, and I was like, are you really going to, the kid was like 21. I was like, you really going to let your dad run your life like this? Okay, don't let the door hit you. And so my entire staff was pretty much gone. And so I did spark plugs that day. I learned how to gap spark plugs and how to put and change spark plugs in a Mazda. I will never forget. I did a couple batteries that day. I learned that I have no business underneath the hood of a car because my body is not built like that. I threw my back out. I walked like a question mark for 6 months. Totally worth it. I would have done it again, hands down. Because I don't feel you should ever be hostage to your staff.
I find that really, really interesting on a couple of different levels. One of the things I was thinking about was about your bench and the idea. So there's been a handful of episodes talking about building trust relationships with possible partners. We had one guy on here who he talked about how he wants to own the relationship with the customer. You need ADOS? We don't do that, but I've got a guy. You need a windshield replaced? We don't do that, but I got a guy.
I got a guy.
And so he owns the relationship as much as possible. And when he can, he actually intakes the car and then subs it out. And unless the customer wants the other person's phone number directly, and that's fine, because he's being transparent with that he's got a contact. And I find that interesting about your connection with your mobile technician. I wonder how many shop owners know a local mobile mechanic that they would be able to farm out work in the loss of a primary worker bee at their shop, just to bridge the gap. And it's
and consider
shops, right? Because someone who's got 10 technicians, then they just got to work extra hours, right? But if you've got 2 or 3 technicians, and
cripples the entire building.
Yeah. The name of the comedian, this just jumped into my head. I just saw it the other day. It was about how the world is not getting more violent, because if you go back to the beginning of time, we didn't get past the 3rd person before someone killed somebody, Cain and Abel, right? And he was he was talking about how if you knew Cain, you had a 33% chance of dying, that he was going to kill you, and so I'm sorry that the connection just came to me because of the 2 technicians or the 3 technicians. That's 25%. That's 33% of your entire production. And in your case, that was actually 67% of your entire production.
Yeah.
that was gone. You still had that C-level tech, but he needed to be told what needed to be replaced.
And I didn't have that skill set.
Yeah, and you didn't have AI to do it for you.
No.
Is that possible?
Today, maybe we could have got by a little bit more with AI, but I don't think AI is going to be a replacement, certainly not in my lifetime, right? Like, is it helpful? Oh my gracious, yes. But
recently in the used car market, and I typed in the details of a particular vehicle that I was looking to buy. And I said, is this a good purchase? And it was like, absolutely. You want this car. It's a good price. I get there and there's black smoke coming out the exhaust, right? It was too rich. And there was some rust underneath. And so I took a picture and a video of the motor, right? Because it needed a motor mount anyway. So I took a picture and a video, and that's all I did. I was like, is this still a good buy? And it said, because it had rust, and it named the part that had rust. Right. And it said, because that particular part is rusty, I would not buy this car. And so I found that really interesting. That's
crazy.
That is crazy. So I wonder how close we are to how leveraging AI to assist an A-level tech. And I don't know the answer to that, but I do know of shops who are trying to leverage AI to help explain away. So you were talking about how your production manager is kind of cleaning up the language for I do know shops who are trying to leverage that piece of AI, because you can actually tell the AI, like ChatGPT or Grok, I need you to write this, I need you to rewrite this, reorganize this, and do it in this particular tone or this particular mannerism. And you
can also tell it to write it at a different grade reading level. I often will do that. Please write this at a 10th grade reading level, because it's not super dumbed down, but it's high enough that it's mid-range. Try it sometime.
Fascinating. I'm just wondering.
You can also tell it to rewrite it in the voice of Snoop Dogg, and that's always entertaining.
Well, I've actually done it with.
Oh no!
Right, it was enormous.
But it was fabulous. Oh no!
It was the most impressive thing that you've ever seen in all time.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally gonna do that later. That's gonna be my next AI project. That's it.
But my point is, you can actually help your service advisor by, when you're sending out the
absolutely,
DPIs, by having it pre-written in a manner to communicate with, and you could actually flex it a little bit, right? You know that this guy's a particular style or is a particular background. Yep. So, I mean, for example, if you're trying to communicate with someone who is over the age of 60, maybe you do 10th grade reading level. If you're trying to communicate with a millennial, maybe you do a 4th grade reading level. I'm sorry.
You're a mess. You should always know your audience, right? Know your customer base. Know who you're talking to in anything that you do, right? But I mean, and you're right, though. AI is super helpful. I know that there is a camp out there of shop owners that believe that service advisors are dispensable and can be replaced by AI. I wholeheartedly disagree. I mean, there's a few soapbox topics, as we kind of hit on before we started recording. There's a few soapbox topics for me that I will emphatically disagree with other shop owners on, and joyfully, right? Like, look, we all do business, like that quality quantity thing. Look, I have nothing against a production shop. There are people that make really good profit. They have very happy people. Their clients are very happy. Like, they check all the boxes. Just doesn't work for me, right? Could a former Marine work for somebody like me? Oh no, they could not. I am so chaotic. Chaotic is not the best word, but we run a very loose ship here, right? We have a good time. We cut up. We do a lot of very serious work. Our quality standard is super high. I have a very high level of expectation. How we get there would drive somebody that is very regimented absolutely insane.
Yeah. So do you?
But my techs would not thrive. Huh?
I'm sorry. During the interview process, do you actually measure like a disc profile type thing to?
We do.
And
Yeah.
and so you're trying to make sure that the person matches up with the culture, not just by, hey, go talk to Johnny over there and then kind of pay attention to how the conversation goes. You're actually
Yeah.
making them go through a mini disc survey.
Yeah. And we take it another level forward. Like my oldest daughter and I got certified to do disc and driving forces, but almost 2 years ago, I guess now. And, you know, there's a wheel, right? You're an implementer or you're an influencer or, you know, and where you fit on that wheel, you want your team to be complete, right? You don't want your team to be all weighted on one side. We don't want all dreamers and promoters and all of that. We need people that are implementers and executors and conductors, right? You've got to have balance. And so that's also why we do the disc and driving forces profile. I want to make sure my team is complete. Because if we have a lot of people that are doers and not enough people that are innovators, you're going to get stagnant, right? Like 20 years ago, we had a part in a labor and a part in a labor and a part in a labor, 50-50, right? It ran. There was not really a lot of diagnostic time. And as that started to come in, we've had to shift. Like your marketing, you get it, right? What we're doing is completely different than what a generation before us was doing, right? And so you have to be innovative. So without the creatives and the thinkers and the people that are out there being innovative, your doers are going to just keep doing the same thing. They're going to keep fixing broken cars. No longer do we just fix broken things, right? We want to do preventative maintenance. We want to not, and cars aren't made like they used to be, right? I didn't do brake fluid exchanges 18 years ago, but now that they're making brake components out of lesser quality metals, I have to, right? I have to, because things start to rust from the inside out, and, you know, brake pads are lasting longer, so we're not flushing fluid through the system as often as we used to. And so the models change. So you want an entire wheel of diversity in your business. So yes, we do.
If you only have 4 people, then maybe you can get.
You are. Well, and somebody probably is going to have to adapt a little bit to fill in the gap.
Jog my memory. Do you even know what the old time books?
Like the Mitchell books?
The Mitchell books. Like, did they? I feel like they had another name though, other than Mitchell. I don't think Mitchell.
Chilton manuals.
Yes. Just out of curiosity,
I think I just threw a couple of those in the recycle bin the other day.
Really? I was just about to say, if there's anybody listening to this podcast and you're still using those manuals, I want to hear from you. I'm really curious. Or if you're taking over a shop from a previous generation, from your parents or another generation who were using those because they are just doers as opposed to innovators. I am curious. I want to hear from you. And because you're asking to use a computer instead of make you an innovator, or does it just make you a doer?
Well, and you know, technology is growing. I went to the Northwood University Leadership 2.0 program just a few weeks ago. Okay. Went to the first portion of it, and we'll do another one in March. But while I was there, one of the young men that was there was a technician in his dad's shop, all paper, no DVI, everything. All their invoicing is on paper, everything. And they do like 80. Yes. I was like, what? My mind was blown. There was me, this young man, and one other shop owner there. The rest of the class of 34 is, you know, distributors and marketing and HR and, you know, distributors and manufacturers. So we were the only like 3 shop representatives, and me and this other shop owner were just mind blown. And they're running tons of cars through this place. They're a high production shop. And I was just baffled. I said, wait a minute, you do all of your invoicing on paper? He's like, yeah, you know, my dad just doesn't want to switch over to a computer. And the 2025, and they're still able to function. I'm like, do you order parts online? And he's like, oh yeah, we do that.
Do you have you don't need to say the name of the shop, but if you could share with me the name of the shop and the person, I might reach out to him to see if he wants to come on and share his story.
Right? It's baffling. I'm like, how do you do that?
It might be entertaining at the very least, or maybe there's a lot of shops that can relate. I don't know, but it seems to me there's a level of efficiency to be had that is like that. Yeah. I mean, just there's a level of efficiency to be had. You can move more cars faster, or in your scenario, with a better quality of life. Right. So,
And it's a better quality end product for your client.
it is.
Right?
It is, because I mean, don't get me wrong. I recognize there's plenty of customers that just, they've got that trust already with you and they don't want the details. That's also part of maybe it's time to do a disc profile for every single one of your customers so that they know which ones actually want the information, the bottom line. Just give me the number. Is it working? Yes. And that's probably the point.
Well, you say that, but here is a piece. So in that, part of that, like that's the side hustle of what my daughter and I do, right? It's part of the speaking and the teaching. It does incorporate that a lot, but DISC is an observable behavior. Not always 100% accurate, right? But my team, we take time and we spend time in that science with our reports and talking about how you do and don't communicate with people that are, we're a mix of all of the DISC, right? You're not one thing or another, right? You are a mix of all of it. So, but if you're a high D person, please just give me the high level stuff. How much, how fast, blah, blah, blah. It's done. How much, how fast? Don't bog me down with details. Now, somebody that's a high S and a low D is going to want all of the details. They're going to want to know how long it's going to take, how many parts, what's the labor, what's the rate, and then they need like an hour to think. So I train that into my staff, my advisors. So they already know how to adapt the way that they're communicating with the clients coming in the door.
Nice.
So it's a giant, beautiful.
You can't do that if you're using paper manuals and your technicians are the ones that are communicating with your customers. You need to have,
you can't do it with AI either.
Well, I mean, yeah, the AI isn't going to analyze after you've done the analysis. You can say, I need to deliver this to a high D, and then have the AI write it up. But that first step of determining, where that person's coming from is an interpersonal relationship that is not going to be captured, at least in 2025, with the guy from iRobot. So
yeah, exactly.
So anyway, it is for your safety to remain. Anyway, so okay, yeah, so that's fun. I agree completely. I actually had a memory of a friend of mine a close friend of mine who used to repair cars. He was kind of like a backyard mechanic shop. We're talking a while ago, and love him like a brother. But holy crap, he wanted to explain to me exactly how the parts, and he could not understand that I did not care enough to know all of the workings of the internal combustion engine. I did not need to know the exact. I like knowing generally how it worked, but I didn't need to know the exact, like,
with the minutia. Absolutely.
He wanted to spend 20 minutes, and I just wanted to write him a check, and we're giving cash. And so,
yep. Can I just pay you and get out of here? Yep, absolutely.
It really is. It really is interesting to know your customers and respond to them. And if you don't have that sliced off as part of your team, then you're missing that opportunity to build that trust.
Right.
So great. You're not overcharging them. You're one of the shops that are good. You're the good guys because you're not overcharging them. But I'm the show.
Well, and you think about that within your team as well, is a lot of people take a really great technician and then put them in an advisory role, right? Most technicians don't make good advisors. You know what you want? You want somebody that's higher on the eye for influence to be an advisor, right? We want somebody that's people-oriented.
Well, that's why
to go in there. So they're D in their eye.
That's why a lot of shops.
Absolutely. I can teach you to speak car, but I can't teach you how to speak people.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I have one tech, we do not allow him to talk to people because he makes people cry. He's mean. Now, he's not intentionally mean. He just speaks very directly.
Right.
And many people cannot handle that.
Yes.
Now, there are a few clients that we have that I'm like, hey, go get him. Let him explain this to this gentleman, lady, whoever it is. And are you sure? And I'm like, no, because they appreciate direct approaches.
Right.
And yeah, I talk too much for them.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely. You've got to use your skill sets to your advantage.
Right.
Right. That's our magic. Again, we're in a relationship business. Yeah, we also fix cars. Right. But we're in the relationship business.
You just made the hiring process more difficult by adding the disc wheel component, right? We want to make that complete wheel. Again, if you only have 5 or 6 people at your shop, and you need to fill the spot for number 6, I can't just fill the spot from the hospitality industry or someone who worked at another shop as a technician, because I also need to make sure that they are the correct DISC mix in the personality profile in addition to their job.
Or one that's not going to completely clash with your culture, right? Like, so the other portion of that is not just DISC, is the driving forces portion is DISC is how you do things. Driving forces is why.
Okay.
So are you more intentional or altruistic? Do you like a harmonious environment? Are you more collaborative or commanding? Like, how do you do power? How do you do knowledge? How do you do, I mean, it's really interesting. And I find that you can, not always, but you could find the cancer in your building before it happens. And perhaps stop it, right? But there are some people that are going to clash no matter what. Or, like, look, my lead technician, we've discussed, my former husband. Look, I've known him since I was 15 years old. So I know him better than probably most people in the world. He's knows me better than most people in the world. But so we do this DISC and driving forces assessment. We all sit down on New Year's Eve at a offsite location. I closed for the day, and we're going through all our reports, and we were cackling because his said, when presenting your case with him, be prepared, use few words, and do not stand within 3 feet of him. And we were hysterically laughing because we all know not to stand close to him. He doesn't like people near him. But that came out in this report. So we had a customer service rep that she couldn't just give him 10 words about what's going on with somebody's car. She had it in a whole, and she would stand a foot and a half away from him. Like he could almost feel her breathe on him. And finally, I had to take her and say, listen, why don't you relay this to the advisor or the production manager and let them go to him, because she just couldn't not. And I was like, you need to stay away from him because you are making his hair go on fire. And I can't have him like that. So you stay out of his lair in your office. He'll stay away from you because he makes you cry. And you stay away from him because you make his hair go on fire. So, but yeah, and we know how to communicate and not communicate. She was physically incapable of not doing that. And so we changed the process. The process moved. You go to Kelly instead of going directly to the tech.
Okay.
Because they can't handle it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and how you got to this point of testing was through coaching and through ideas sharing and going to these conferences and going through meetings and like, hey, maybe that'll work for me, and then applying it. And so I want to dial back the timeline a little bit. You're 15 years old. Were you around a shop? He was a technician. All right. So, because there are shop owners who they grew up around it, right? They're 9 years old, they're in the shop, and as you mentioned earlier with my son, can you get him a job somewhere here, right? So, that wasn't your story. You dated and married into it.
Yeah, he was obviously when we met, he worked at a muffler chain and with very entry level, he wasn't super skilled then, right? But was an avid learner in that, just very good with his hands. Fast forward, he's always worked for independents after that. And so the Fort Lauderdale market got very, very flooded. I worked in bottled water. I was an administrative assistant for a bottled water company for 5 or 6 years before we decided that the best thing we could do, we had a 2-year-old, and didn't want her to grow up in that area. It was just getting really funky. It was right outside of Parkland. We all know what happened there. And so I grew up there. I didn't want, and this was pre that, right? And I just kind of saw where it was just getting a little too congested. We couldn't open a shop, but that was the next logical step for him because they had put a freeze on adding any more auto repair shops in Broward County at the time. So we've right. Well, it was just flooded, and they were actually competing for the lowest place, right? They were driving prices down, and people weren't able to survive. Like, it made sense for them to put a hold on that. It's not like that anymore, but it was at the time. And so we found this shop, we bought it, and I came in a few hours a day and I did payroll and accounts payable. I took care of the finances in the business side of the business because that's what I knew. My mom was in television broadcasting my entire life when I was a kid. And so I would go into work with her and balance checkbooks, or, balance statements and for television stations. So, but all financial, financial, accounting, administrative, stuff like that. And so I did that, and then I would leave, right? And then we had another kid, and so I would tool around. I wasn't really a stay-at-home mom, but kind of, right? And then that's when I thought, when we got divorced, and I was like, well, I can run it. I run the business. That's why I say, I was like, 3 days later, I was like, what have I done? Like, oh my God, what have I done? What have I agreed to? But I mean, I wouldn't change a second of it, but boy, I didn't even know how to spell carburetor. I was like, I had never made an invoice in our shop management system. Our customer service guy retired right about the same time. And wow. Thankfully, the parts store stepped in and said, let us help you. Let us teach you. And I just became a sponge for knowledge. In some ways, I think he did, but he likes cars. He doesn't, and he never wanted to know what the finances look like, what the banks like. I think that's a lot of challenge that you hear from techs turned owners is they don't see the business side of it. And look, if him and I have discussed over the years, like him buying me out, like, I want to go do this other thing. Like, I'm not bored, but I say I'm bored sometimes. It's not true, but I'm like, I want to go do this other thing. Do you want to buy me out? And he's like, no. Can I pay someone to do exactly what you do? And I'm like, well, you could probably pay 2 or 3 people to do what I do, but but you got to have somebody that's going to keep an eye on your money a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
You need to understand it. And he's like, no, I'd rather just work for you. And I'm like, nice. But
you need to understand enough to audit it and have a top level picture.
Yes.
But you could potentially hire somebody to
absolutely you could
while you are actually the owner. You still need at that point, you still need to attend some of the coaching materials and classes and seminars so that you have an understanding what that CEO is supposed to be doing. Because technically they still report to you, even though you also report to them. And that's actually a better formula than a technician who wants to be an owner and just wants to, like, it's like you said, there's you uncovered or touched on a problem, right? Or a challenge that a lot of shop owners have. They're technicians. They never became owners. They never became, even though they owned it, they do own it.
They bought a job.
Yeah. So, okay. And then the other thought that I had there was
he likes to solve problems. That's a good way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The coach that you had to start, are you still the same coach? Expecting me to say that. I was not expecting you to say it because I hear all the time people how they graduate or it's just no longer a fit or the coach is doing something else with their life and so they had to move on. So the fact that you're still with the same coach has been a decade.
So kind of evolved into where I'm at. Like, they got together and I ended up with, it was started with a single guy and then it ended up becoming what it is today. It wasn't this company that it is today, but it was just a single person that kind of grew something. But I love what they teach, how they teach it. I love the package, right? Like, look, I was a coach. I've been a coach with them since 2020. I signed on very early. I'm like, look, whenever you need me, I'm in, right? Like, I know the program. I know the process. I love to help people. That's not my ultimate goal is not one-on-one coaching, but I will do it to grow and to help. Like, I'm one of those people that believes in any aspect, whatever you have, you've got to give it away to keep it, right? So somebody gave me the knowledge. I'm going to give it away to keep it. Now, of course, I'm going to get paid for it because I paid a lot of money for it. But again, you have to be able to give it away, right? You have to help other people. Not everybody feels that way, but I do. And so, and if I can cut somebody's struggle time down from what mine was, because I am a 2x4 learner. Oh my gracious. Like, you've got to hit me in the head with the 2x4 to get me to listen. Right. And so, I at least, yeah, I used to be.
Yeah, it was a 2.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
All right.
Right. I know I keep trying not to do that. In full transparency, nobody beat me. I moved fast and I lifted a tower fan.
Okay.
I unplugged it and lifted it to move it into another room, and the cord was stuck under a box, and I didn't know, and I clotheslined myself with it.
My goodness. Okay.
And that's what it did. It's a week old. I'm an Irish girl. Look at the name. Like, I have this phosphorescent blue skin, and oh my gosh, there's a giant lump in it. It's the worst ever. I can't believe as soon as I did it, it turned purple. And I was like, well, that's not going to be pretty.
Are you comfortable mentioning the name of the coach or the name of the coaching organization? Are you?
Absolutely. My coach is David Justice from Repair Shop of Tomorrow.
Okay.
He was the original owner of LPM, Labor Profit Management. That's where I met him.
Okay.
I met him at a Napa Expo in Vegas, and I was like, I walked up to him at the end and I said, I want what you have, and how do I get it? And I didn't know he was a coach at the time. I didn't know he had owned 3 shops. I didn't know that, but I was like, I want what you have. How do I get that? And he's like a drill sergeant and a football coach all mixed in one. He's got this energy that is larger than life. But he isn't afraid to put his foot in your rear end when you need it. So that's why I've never left. I have towed into other places, not realizing that it was kind of a conflict. I did that once. I joined another coaching group. I don't know what I was thinking. I just wanted to learn more, and I should have just asked Dave, right? I should have said, hey, I'm ready to turn this up. But again, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know that I simply should have just asked for what I wanted. With age comes wisdom, right? And I didn't have that. So I joined this other group, but the beauty that I got out of that is the coach that we had there. It was a 20 group. And so I loved that experience. We did not have that in the coaching with Dave. And so I was part of a group of a bunch of other shop owners, but that facilitator was very calm and very chill and very Canadian and smooth growth. Let's go to this track, right? So I remember the first year he asked me for my goal for the following year. And I think I turned in like a 13% increase over prior year. And he was like, I turned that into that guy, and he called me and he goes, I feel like that's aggressive. Why don't we go 6%? And I was like, okay, I hear you. Fine. So I adjusted my numbers and whatever. I turned that in, and I'm like, I phoned it in today. I was like, look, this is what I did. Here you go. Here's my 6%. Emailed that in. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. What is this garbage that you just emailed me? 6%? Who are you? And I was like, well, my original was 13. He goes, I don't think 13's even who you are. And I was like, I had a lot of room to grow back then, right? Like when you can't sustain 13% growth year over year, right? But when you start where I started, you can for 5 or 6 or 7 years, right? So now I'm kind of in a maintenance, smaller growth phase, but I was doing $600,000 a year then. You know, when you cross the $1 million mark, it's tough unless you get bigger, right? And so, or you add more people, or I have the same number of people pretty much as I did when I was doing 650. So, but yeah, so he was like, what is this garbage? And so I very quickly realized that I had one that was like my motivator and my pep rally, and that's what sets my soul on fire. And I had another one that I felt like I would talk to him and he would nail my hands and feet to the floor. There are a lot of people. That's when I talk to people about getting a coach, I see it on Facebook all the time in all of the groups. Thinking about getting a coach, who's the best? forever, you will see me put interview them all. Because if you can't hear their voice, they're not going to be good.
Well, and that's what I got from also, well, not specifically the voice part, but what I got from the panel where we talked about yes or no to have coaches. I could hear from their stories that they're not all the same. And you need to actually find the one that actually fits you. Going back to the disc thing, even with your customers and how you're communicating, you got to find somebody who, if you need someone to be 3 feet away, is going to be 3 feet away, or vice versa. I'm not consider myself to be someone who doesn't like someone that close to them. And yet looking back, I do notice when people are close talkers. I'm well aware that I am no longer in a COVID mask, and so maybe they should step away. No, I'm just kidding. So as if that actually did anything anyway. But even still, so interview them all, or interview at least like 3 or 4 different ones, and get a feel.
And some of the big companies that have multiple coaches, you might love the program that they offer.
Yes.
But always ask, who am I going to be paired with so that I can talk to them, right? And if they're not a good fit, what is the process to move, right? Because it's, and I don't disagree with in the fact that, like, I'm a hard head, and I know that about me, right? So Dave has always been good for me. He's always spoken in a manner that I needed to hear. Not everybody hears that. And sometimes I think the voice needs to change every 3 to 5 years. Or the beauty of going to a conference. If you can't get to a conference, you might want to switch up your coaches every once in a while. Stay in the same company. Just ask for somebody else or attend a class with somebody else. You've got to hear another voice so that you can see what's out there and what. If I teach the same thing as 3 other people in same material, it's going to hit different. I have a different energy level, right? I'm going to focus on, I used to sell Tupperware 1,000 years ago, right? When I was not a shop owner. And so, because I was bored and I wanted to get out of that. And so they had this product that was stupid. It wasn't stupid. They were the collapsible bowls. They're like accordion down. I used to have those on the table. I never talked about them. You know why? Because I didn't care about them. I hated them. I thought they were stupid. Clearly, I still think they are. Other things, people would buy all of the things that I was passionate about. I sold very few of those because I didn't talk about them, and I didn't care about them, and I didn't see the value. So sometimes when you're looking at somebody's numbers, right? We coach from numbers. Most of us do. And I look from 30,000 feet, I'm looking at your hours per car, but somebody else might be looking at your gross profit dollars per hour, right? I'm not looking at that number, probably should be, but I'm not. That's not where I focus. I know where I can make an impact for you. Different coaches speak different languages, just like the disc, right? Some of them are really chill, and they'll give you like 3 days to think about it. They talk real slow, and that makes me crazy. I can't stand to be in a room with somebody who's monotone and does it right. It makes me nuts. It makes me nuts to do it. It just increased my anxiety level by 1,000%, right? I'm a fast talker. So are you. I make decisions incredibly fast. Half of my team, I can't do that. And so I think coaching is the same way, right? You have to be able, I say, hear their voice. You have to be able to hear what they're saying and execute. Otherwise, you are burning your dollars. Just go set them on fire.
Yeah, no, I've talked with people, and I've explained to them that there are times when I hear the person on the other end of the phone, and I realize I need to sit back in my chair, relax my body so that I can slow down to match them. And that's that influence. I guess that's that influence side of things, right?
Yes.
So, and whereas if I'm calling someone from New York, I can talk just as fast as I want to talk, and it's just perfectly fine.
Yes.
And as if I've had plenty of caffeine, which I probably have. So, yeah. So it's.
My advisors have coaches as well.
You got to find that coach is going to actually, kind of be able to match your speed and relate to you. But I like what you said though. First, research the programs, find the program that fits for you, because that's one of the things that one of the guys in that episode said was about how he did not like how it was presented to them, and he knew right away that that program wasn't going to be a fit. So he found a different program, and then inside of that, then you interview the coach's options. And of course, you can't do that if it's a one-person shop coach, which they exist, and some of them are great. But maybe that's the program that's right for you. That's fine, but get somebody who is trying to influence you, and so or trying to kind of guide you through the process. That way you're not like an island all on your, I was thinking about what you said about the we have shops. So I may have mentioned this at the top. This podcast is being paid for by AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for repair shops. And we've got clients, we have shops throughout the country and of all different sizes. But sometimes it's really fun to help that shop that's at 650,000 breach that name line. And it really is. But what I have is that so many of those 650,000, they have green dollars in their pocket and they're operating at that level, right? I produced a bunch of cars. I have some green dollars in my pocket, so I must be doing okay. But if you're sick of that and you're trying to get to that next level, you want to break that $1 million mark or whatever the next mark is, then I think you need a coach. I'm not a coach, but I also think you need a marketing company to manage all the different aspects of your digital marketing and all your marketing. So, and that's one of the things that AA Shop Marketing is doing. They're a digital marketing company for repair shops, but we're starting with managing. What do you need? Do you need more in your Google profile? Do you need more on your website? Do you need a little bit of this, a little bit of that? And we actually don't do just websites. I've had people call me, can you make me a website? We have one service. It's a program, and we flex that program a little bit based on your particular shop's needs. The shop needs in rural America do vary from those in major metros. How you go to market with them is a little bit different. Your use of Google Ads, your use of your local Google business profile, your social media, all changes a little bit, but all of them need to be touched on in all the different spots. I don't know. You were talking about how you went from that 650 and you had basically the same staff that you had after that million mark. And I've thought about the shops that we've helped do the same thing from the marketing side. And I can tell you that it can happen a lot faster if you have the right coach in place. If you have the marketing and the coach in place, you can get there pretty quickly. And then, as Kathleen said, you have to then turn around and you can't keep growing at 25% growth rate, or in some of our shop cases, 127% growth rate. We just recently had a shop go to 127% year over year. It's completely possible. And so, what are your goals? Now you've got to have a coach and a marketing team to sit down and figure out how you're going to tackle it. I don't know. It's exciting to get them to the next level.
Yeah.
I also like
you say that the articles that I've written for Ratchet and Rich, that's the lens through which I write all of the articles that I've written, is the 650,000 or less or whatever shop that can't get to a conference. If I can share something with you that I have learned to get you from the page of that magazine that you get in the mail for free, all it costs you is the 4 minutes that it takes you to read it. They're usually under 800 words, right? And I try to be very engaging and entertaining. I try. Like, through a page is kind of hard, but I do it. That's been a huge growth for me for 2 years. Being a writer, I'm not a writer. I didn't do too bad. But yeah, if I can get you from that point to have a little bit of money in your pocket to be able to attend a conference, to learn more and find somebody, find a coach, find the next steps, right? I want to speak to that level of shop owner, because I remember how painful it was to not be able to pay my bills. And I want to save someone else from that pain long term. And the beginning steps are figuring out how to spend, 15 minutes a week on your business. Lock yourself in a room. If you can do it for an hour, do it. Lock yourself in your office for an hour. I promise you, unless it's fire, flood, or blood, nobody's allowed to interrupt you for 1 hour a week. I promise you that 1 hour will become more and become more and become more. but where you focus solely on something on your business, not on, right? And marketing, here you go. Here's your marketing piece. Please get people's contact information, their address and their email address, not just their phone number. How do you reach your clients? How are you successful? You guys can't market to somebody you can't find, right? So please build your database. It's important. Even if you don't use it today, you will use it someday when you start to really lean into marketing.
Yes.
Or if you go to sell, like if you can't reach your clients, your business is worth nothing. You're praying you have people come in.
We've touched on several other episodes that we've talked about as well. We had an episode where we talked about whether or not to attend conferences and what conferences were top shelf and which ones people liked. And we could probably do that episode 10 times over and get 10 different sets of answers. And,
Yep.
but they all said that they liked kind of the casual conversations that they had after the events. They still learn stuff at the classroom, but then being able to just,
the hallway learning is always the best. Yep.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to go for with the shop owner panels, is that it's that hallway type learning atmosphere that I'm trying to shoot for. But yeah, so I find that to be also important. But yeah, if you can't step away for so much as a day, then there needs to be an evaluation on, how can we make some changes, or how do we spend on things a little bit differently so that we can eventually get to the point where we can make changes and step away for a few minutes, right? Shared this before. I'll share it again. I remember he's our parents' age, and I remember it was really interesting how I became friends with him. I was in a shirt and tie, and I walked in his door. He owned a car dealership, and I was trying to sell him something. I just walked in his door, and he said, "Who are you?" And this is impressive because everyone else just tries to call me, and I'm picturing them sitting in their boxers from their mother's basement, and you actually walked in a tie. Let's talk. And that's how our friendship, kind of or business relationship to friendship, goes created. And a business, unless you've pulled over on the drive home and threw up over the guardrail thinking about how to make payroll the next week.
Yep.
And so let's get you sickness. Women experience the morning sickness. Let's get you business owners experience the afternoon sickness. Let's actually get you over that sickness by getting you get plugged into conferences, get plugged into coaching, get plugged into digital marketing, and
so many things are available virtually now.
Yes,
you don't even have to go. Just find the virtual stuff. Just if anybody's listening, reach out to me. I will find you something to do.
Right,
please be a lifelong learner. Send me an email. I'm about it.
Okay. Or head over to our Facebook page in the Garage Grit podcast community and actually say, "Hey, Kathleen, where do I go?" And we'll make sure.
That's it.
That
I'll tell you where to go. Just kidding.
Yeah, right.
I won't do that, but I'll think about it.
No. When I was told that I was on parking duty at my son's football game, I'm like, I think I'm supposed to tell him where to go, but I don't know that that's very nice. I don't know that I should.
Exactly.
Not very fitting.
Here's where the social liability challenge comes in, Brad.
But I want to be. Even the other team liked me. I was very friendly. So
yeah.
So anyway. Yeah. The teams asked if I even had enough to drink because it was a hot day, and I'm like, and of course not hot compared to Florida because we're in Pennsylvania, but it was hot in Pennsylvania.
I don't know. Some days it's been hotter up there than it is here. Not all of them, but some of them.
Occasionally, yeah.
As a almost fully Floridian, I moved to Florida when I was 10, so that sounds horrific to me.
No.
I went to Vision one year. The very first time I ever went to Vision, it was 2019, I think, because I went straight from the Women in Auto Care conference in New Orleans. Somebody convinced me to change my flight and go to Kansas City. Okay. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And so I went and I rented a car and I stayed in this Airbnb with them and whatever. And I had to be for a class early in the morning before anybody else got up. And I went outside and my rental car had like 2 inches of snow all over it. And I didn't know what to do. I'm calling my friends from Cleveland. They were already at the convention center, and I'm like, do you guys want to come get me? Like, I don't know what to do here. And they're hysterically laughing at me, and they're like, get in the car. And I'm like, I live in Florida. What is wrong with you? I'm like, I could kill people on the way there. Like, it was terrifying. So I scraped it off, did what I had to do. The car didn't have an ice scraper in it, which was rude, by the way. I had to use a credit card. I watch a lot of TV, though, so I'm innovative. So I get in there, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? And they go, just go straight. Don't go fast, and don't hit the brakes. And I was like, this is terrifying. I'm going to take somebody out. If I'm not there in 20 minutes, you should come looking for me. Because it was like 1.5 miles down the road. Oh, no. That was my first time driving in snow.
All right. Well, 1.5 miles down the road, just put on your boots and walk. But yeah, no, that's...
I thought about it. I was going to say it's so quiet, isn't it?
Menagerie, and it's just beautiful. I feel my blood pressure go lower. It's nice. And you're talking to a guy that even after the longer commute for a while, the longer driveway, I broke 3 bones in my leg this year while clearing snow from that driveway, and I still love snow.
I love that for you. I love that on Facebook from Florida.
That's great. All things for all people. Everyone's a little bit different, and that's why you need to find the correct marketing company for you. You need to find the correct coaching for you. You need to find the correct conferences for you, and we encourage you to do that. We encourage you to grow. We're resources here. Kathleen just volunteered to be a resource. We're going to wrap up this episode of the Garage Grid Podcast because this has been a marathon, awesome episode. Thank you, Kathleen. And so AA Shop Marketing is a resource for you. The Garage Grid's a resource for you. You got plenty of resources out there. Take advantage. Get to the next level. Thank you.